Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit. We're continuing our series of daily morning meditations where we generally look at one or another of the lessons that are assigned for morning or evening prayer, what is known as the daily office lectionary. And so today is Wednesday, and I thought what we do is take a look at the lesson that's assigned for this morning from the book Exodus. Remember, we're going through the story of the people of Israel having been freed from slavery in Egypt and are now making their way across the desert and heading eventually towards the promised land, being led by Moses. Now, we talked a little bit about how God has fed them with manna in the wilderness, how he's provided food for them, how God spake to them out of the fiery pillar, and he has spoken to them on the mountain. Moses has gone up to the mountain and is speaking with God. And since he seems to be up there for a very long time, what's amazing is that how quickly the people of Israel then turn from the worship of the true and living God. And so what we pick up in chapter 32, beginning at verse number 1. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, Up, make us gods which shall go before us. As for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what has become of him. I think he's disappeared. And Aaron said to them, Break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives and your sons and your daughters, and bring them unto me. And all the people brake off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool, after he made a molten calf. And they said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Ugh. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made proclamation and said, Tomorrow is a feast of the Lord. And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink and rose up to play. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go, get thee down, for thy people which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. And Moses turned and went down from the mount, and the two tables of the testimony were in his hand, and the tables were written on both sides, on the one side and on the other were they written. And the tables were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God, graven upon the tables. And when Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said unto Moses, There's a noise of war in the camp. And he said, It is not the voice of them that shout for mastery, neither is it the voice of them that cry for being overcome, but the noise of them that sing do I hear. And it came to pass, as soon as he came nigh unto the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses' anger waxed hot, and he cast the table out of his hands and brake them beneath the mount. The words of God, the writing of God, and he broke them. And he took the calf which they had made and burnt it in the fire, and ground it into powder, and strawed it upon the water, and made the children of Israel to drink of it. So here's the people of Israel who, a short period before, have witnessed the glory of God. They've seen the angel of death pass over their firstborn, destroy the firstborn of Egypt. He's seen them separate the sea and walk through on dry feet and then come over and crush and destroy the Egyptians that are chasing after them. He's seen them provide manna in the wilderness so they could eat, and fowls of the air for them to eat. He's brought water from the rock. And man, in a short time, they've gone astray. Right? Here they are. They've made a false god, a molten image of a calf, a similitude that eateth hay, right? And they begin to worship the false idol. How quickly they've fallen away. And so it just goes to show us, as members of the body of Christ, how our impatience and our sinfulness and our desire to have something to worship, which even though God himself is certainly out and beyond our comprehension of the visible world, it's so easy for us as sinful human beings, right? We all sin and fall short of the glory of God, to fall away, to begin to worship and hold up other gods. We may not make molten images of calves and say, these be our gods, but how often do we make an idol of money? Do we make an idol of power? Do we make an idol of things, right? And in doing so, we stop focusing on what's true and real and glorious, and that is the love that God has for us. And we begin to worship that which is created rather than the Creator himself. And we can't just say, well, I would never do what they do, because guess what? It is very easy. If any group of people should have known better, here they are. And yet they do. They fall away, right? Thank God for God's mercy in bringing them back, right? He punishes them because there is a consequence for sin, and yet in that he also allows them to live at Moses' intercession as well. And we haven't got to that part yet. But brothers and sisters, know this, even if we are thinking we're on the right track, right? And we are holding up our lives before the living God, the one true and living God and his son, Jesus Christ, we must be vigilant and diligent and patient, right? They got impatient because Moses didn't come back soon enough. But we need to be vigilant in our faith in God and patient so that when the blessings come, we're thankful. And if they seem to be delayed, well, then we are thankful in anticipation as well. So anyway, I advise you, we skip around a bit in books of Exodus. I advise you go ahead, read around the part that we've read today, and you get all the background information. I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday, and may God bless you.